We do apologize for the late broadcast of our English news bulletin due to some technical difficulties that we are experiencing. However, thank you so much for staying tuned. And today with me, Tandy Williams-Umara. Let's take a look at our top stories. Pope Francis sends thousands of medicines to Turkey for earthquake victims. President Chakwera calls for repentance among Malawians amid growing sinful activities. Secretary to President and Cabinet resistance to appear before parliamentary committees almost costs a vote on budget allocation for the office of President and Cabinet. And in international news, Botswana rejects anti-democracy allegations made by ex-president Ian Khama. We do have the details of these stories and more. Do stay with us. Pope Francis has sent 10,000 medicines to Turkey to assist people recovering from February's massive earthquake. The Papal Almoner has sent the medicines in collaboration with the Turkish embassy to the Holy See. Meanwhile, the Italian bishops have embarked on a fundraising campaign to assist people in Syria and Turkey. We have more details on this in this Vatican News report read by Bernard Mwanza.
The Dicastery for the Service of Charity is sending more medicines to Istanbul, according to the Pope's wish to offer more assistance to victims of the 6th February devastating earthquake that hit Syria and Turkey, causing 50,000 deaths. An initial dispatch departed Monday, and more shipments continued on Tuesday. The Turkish embassy to the Holy See provided guidance and instructions on the most urgently needed 10,000 medicines that have been purchased. Neighboring Syria, devastated by the earthquake and war with 15 million people in distress, has already received financial aid from the Pope in the past thanks to the Apostolic Nunciature, which helps coordinate the process to help the population. Last Sunday, parishes throughout Italy made their first collection of offerings destined for the populations of Turkey and Syria, according to a project implemented by the Italian Episcopal Conference as a concrete sign of solidarity with participation of all believers in providing for the material and spiritual needs of the earthquake victims.
Said President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera has encouraged Malawians to repent their sins and look up to God, who is rich in mercy and gives hope where there seems to be none. Chakwera has made the call earlier today in Lilongwe, where he attended the Eminent Persons Forum organized by the Evangelical Association of Malawi, EAM. He said that God will hear and answer people's prayers, but that the country must first have God at both personal and national levels. Bernard Mwanza has more of the details.
According to Chakwera, Malawians have sinned at different levels, a situation that has tended to be so worrisome as it is costing the nation a lot. He said, for example, people have sinned even in the context of relief and recovery amid Tropical Cyclone Freddy devastation by taking away things meant for the survivors. Chakwera encouraged Malawians to humble themselves to God and refocus, as there cannot be hope if there is no one to call in times of need.
In our personal boats, we must have him. In our national boat, we must have him everywhere, in order for us to just shout that name when we come to a place where we don't even know how things will turn out. And that we need to refocus, because there cannot be hope if you know that you have no one to call on, and too many of us are losing it because our hearts are failing us because of fear. And we need to understand.
The General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye of Nigeria, who shared the gospel according to Mark chapter 4, verse 35 to 41, asked people to surrender their lives to God, saying that tomorrow might be too late. Pastor Adeboye, who prayed for Malawi to be free of problems, said that storms do not give notice, adding that what matters is to make sure people have Jesus Christ to turn to when crises hit. Other notable officials who attended the forum include Speaker of the National Assembly, Other notable officials who attended the forum include Speaker of the National Assembly, Catherine Kodanihara, Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Dr. Kondwani Nkrumah, Cabinet Ministers, and Chairperson of the Evangelical Association of Malawi, Archbishop Mark Kambalazaza, among others. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I am Brenad Mwanza.
Members of Parliament have today approved the provision of a 19.8 billion Malawi kwacha budget allocation for the Office of President and Cabinet, despite having resistance for some lawmakers who said they cannot approve it when its controlling officer, Colin Zamba, is still refusing to appear before parliamentary committees. Cholo Central Member of Parliament Ben Piri told the House that there is no point in approving the vote when Zamba deliberately refuses to appear before parliamentary committees on issues of national interest. However, Leader of the House, Richard Mandobanda, told the House not to politicize the vote, saying SPC is not bigger than President or former Presidents and Vice Presidents who are served from the same vote. Bridget Monoka was there and she reports.
The Committee of Supply for Vote allocations started today in Parliament. Among others approved are 2 billion kwacha for the National Audit Office, 22 billion kwacha for the Judiciary, 34 billion kwacha for the National Assembly, and 24 billion on vote for state residents to stand as part of the recurring and development estimates. Some of the votes raised debates like budget allocation for the Office of President and Cabinet and vote of state residents. Before approving budget allocation for the Office of President and Cabinet, Ben Piri, Member of Parliament for Cholo Central, told the House that there was no point in approving it since its secretary has been deferring some of the laws, like ignoring parliamentary committees' summon. Concurring with Piri was Chairperson for Budget and Finance Committee, Gladys Ganda, who also claimed a 20% increase in state residents was not necessary since the country is facing hardships.
Let me remind you, last time that there was a huge increase on the state residences vote, and the understanding at that time was that there was some poor planning. So we expected that vote should not have changed that much because we had already adjusted it at mid-year and covered almost everything. But if you look at that, you will notice that it's been increased by 20%. Now, this is the time of where resources, when resources are limited, when resources are scarce. Therefore, we also expected the cost-cutting measures that are being applied across the board should also apply to the state residences vote.
Minister of Finance Sosteni Gwengwe told journalists that each vote was important and the 20% increase on state residents was necessary.
Basically, you know that Kamuzu Palace was done by, or was built by Kamuzu, and it's a house for all the presidents in this country. And I think the incumbent has a duty to maintain these state residences in a manner that even Kamuzu would have wanted them to be maintained. So we do have broken leaves at Kamuzu Palace, and people are climbing stairs. So if you have somebody else, for example, who has a disability and want to access some offices up in Kamuzu Palace, they will struggle.
The Committee of Supply for Vote Allocations will proceed tomorrow, where chances are high that the budget might be passed. This is Bridget Mwanoka for Luntha News in Lilongwe.
If you just tuned into Luntha TV, know that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with more news right after this.
Stand a chance to win big in the 52nd International Letter Writing Competition. All you have to do is to compose a letter with you, imagining that you are a superhero and your mission is to make all roads around the world safer for children. Write a letter to someone explaining which superpowers you would need to achieve your mission. To enter, you have to be a citizen of Malawi, aged between 9 and 15 years, and a primary or a secondary school learner. The letter must be in English. You are only allowed to submit one letter. The letter must be handwritten with no more than 1,000 words. Entries must have a stamp from your respective school. Entries must ensure that the name and address of each entrant are indicated in the cover letter and a note on the actual letter. Entrants must provide their name, date of birth, address, telephone number, and a contact email address on the cover letter. And finally, entries must be submitted by 31st March 2023. First prize for the best entry is a laptop and a gold medal. Second prize, a laptop and a silver medal. Third prize, a laptop and a bronze medal. Send your entry through the post office address to the Director General, 52nd International Letter Writing Competition, Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Macra House, Private Bag 261, Luntha. The competition is organized by the Malawi Communications and Regulatory Authority, MACRA, in collaboration with the Universal Postal Union, UPU. For more information, please call 0888 352 499. Express your creativity, refine your language skills, bring out innovative thinking, and win.
Masiku ano zomaphunzira sukulu ndi malingaliro odzalembedwa ntchito ndi zamakedzana. Anzanu ochuluka miyoyo yawo yasinthiratu poti adapanga chisankho chopita ku Luso Tech komwe adakaphunzira ntchito yamanja yakumtima kwawo. Pangani chisankho nanu popita kukaphunzira zina mwa ntchito izi zomwe zili pa 65,000 ndi ICT certificate, electro and solar installation, tailoring and fashion design, computer repairing, video production, phone repairing, komanso electronics repairing. Komanso zomwe zili pa 120,000 kwacha ndi welding and fabrication komanso plumbing. Registration idu ndi 3,000 kwacha yokha basi. Ndipo malo ndi ku Lilongwe mu White Falls opposite Admark. Mongokumbutsana kuti ma diploma programs alipo omwe ali under City and Guards and ABMA. Mukafuna kudziwa zambiri imbani foni kapena tumizani message pa WhatsApp kuma nambala awa 083 114 412 komanso 092 554 5449.
Are you passing through Desert Town and you think of finding a place to rest or just to have some nice food? Always keep this name in your mind. Comfort Lodge. Situated in Airfield at Desert Town, Here at Comfort Lodge, we offer comfortable, affordable, and quality accommodation. The place is located at a very quiet environment that gives you a comfortable and peaceful sleep. We also offer local food such as mademba, masambote ndela, chisoso, ndi ndo zina za lokolo zambiri. Talking of entertainment, that's not an issue, as we have a DSTV for your favorite channels. Tight security, electricity and water backups are all in place just for you, dear customers. During this time of COVID-19, we have all measures in place just for your safety. Oh yes, come and taste a different feel of life here at Comfort Lodge in the town. Comfort Lodge. Comfort Lodge, your number one place for affordable and quality accommodation.
Proceeding with the news, Commissioner for the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, Dodma Charles Kalimba, has disclosed that the department will soon release a report on how they have used all the donations meant for Cyclone Freddy survivors. Speaking early today during a press briefing in Luntha, Kalimba said that they will share the report to various media houses so that there should be accountability and transparency on the use of various donations that they have received, and that Malawians should have hopes that every donation is used for its intended purposes. He also held government, non-government organizations, and individuals for the unprecedented support that they have showed, which has helped the department reach out to people who have been affected by the cyclone. He then expressed concern over the tendency of other individuals who are stealing donations that are meant for Cyclone Freddy survivors, and promised that the law will take its course for the perpetrators. Here is part of what he had to say.
Put it here that we will, within this week, produce a list of donations that we have received. But let me say that the response this time around has been unprecedented. We have received support as a country from within and also from without.
The Ministry of Tourism has announced that the Takulandilani Malawi International Tourism Expo is back this year after a 2-year break due to COVID-19. Minister of Tourism Vera Kamtikule said during a media briefing this morning that the tourism fair will help Malawi to enhance and strengthen the country's tourism brand and image as an open and welcoming tourist destination. The fair is expected to be held from the 26th to the 27th of April of this year at the Bingu International Convention Center, BICC, in Ilongwe. We have more details in this report by Jacqueline Saidi.
The Takulandilani Malawi Tourism International Exposition is an annual event which started in 2017, organized by the Ministry of Tourism. This will be the 4th edition of the fair after 2 years of break induced by effects of COVID-19, which restricted people from travels. Tourism Minister Vera Kamtukule said during the media briefing in Lilongwe this morning that the fair brings together Malawi's leading tourism enterprises, international exhibitors, leadership investors, international buyers, and industry experts to showcase, discuss, and to forge partnerships that will be vital for business growth in the post-COVID-19 era. She said on 27th April 2023, the day will be open for the public to participate and encouraged to promote domestic tourism in line with the Ministry's domestic tourism marketing strategy that encourages the culture of travel among the local Malawians.
It's an event that is going to expose our country as far as tourism is concerned, but also be able to create jobs both for the short and long term, but also create wealth for the people that are operating, but at the same time also launch our country 2 years after we couldn't hold such an event. What we have done as a country is to put tourism as one of the bases for our structural transformation, and for us to do so, for us to achieve that aspiration, we must be intentional as far as our activities are concerned in the tourism sector. So
the expo will be held under the theme "We Are Back, Ipatse Moto," which signifies the resilience of the Malawi tourism sector. It is reported that the selection of the buyers has been carefully done and identified from the key source markets, as well as the regional markets of UK, Germany, USA, South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, among others.
Now in sports, Flames coaches Mario Mariniga and one of his assistants Franco Ndawa have criticized the behavior of Malawi supporters who were cheering up the Egypt national football team yesterday as the Pharaohs were taking on Malawi at Bingu National Stadium. The two coaches have said the attitude shown by the supporters deprived the morale of the players during the 4-0 loss. The supporters clapped hands for the visitors while the home team did not have a better reception that resulted in them being stoned at the full-time whistle. King Major Kamwindo has more of the details.
Malawi national football team, the Flames, had a day to forget after being humiliated at home by Egypt during their 4-0 thrashing at Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe on Tuesday. Coach Mario Marinika had to left his touchline and stormed to the dressing room 10 minutes before the referee blew his final whistle, leaving his assistant coach on the bench. Malawians, who came in large numbers to see the Flames, who were preaching a hefty comeback into the game, showed their anger and started chanting for the resignation of farm President Walter Naminando while they were celebrating Egypt's
We do apologize for not being able to give you the full sports report. Now moving on to international news, the Botswana government on Tuesday dismissed as outrageous and unfortunate allegations made by ex-President Ian Khama accusing his successor of undermining democracy in one of Africa's most stable nations. Khama, who's aged 70, made damning allegations in a recent interview claiming his hand-picked successor, Mokgweetsi Masisi, had totally undermined democracy, human rights and the rule of law. But the government denied the unfounded accusations, describing them in a statement as outrageous and unfortunate, politically motivated, and with the sole intention of tarnishing the good image of Botswana and its government. We have more details in this African News report read by Charity Chilanga.
Former President Ian Khama led Africa's top diamond producing nation for a decade until 2018 before handing the reins to Masisi, who had been his deputy. In 2018, Khama dramatically quit the long-ruling Botswana Democratic Party, which had been co-founded by his father Sarete Khama, Botswana's first president, and went on to back an opposition party. He has vowed to bring the opposition parties into an electoral alliance to remove Masisi through the ballot box in next year's polls. The former senior military officer and head of state said he had intelligence information on plans to arrest and poison him if he returned home. However, Gaborone has rubbished the claim, saying Botswana is a democratically governed nation-state that keenly respects and observes the rule of law and ethics of good governance, underpinned by adherence to a culture of human rights. Government said it concluded Khama's motives coming a year before general elections due in 2024 were questionable.
And of course, that's about what we had time for in this edition of our news bulletin. But before we leave, a reminder of our top stories. Pope Francis sends thousands of medicines to Turkey for earthquake victims. President Chakwera calls for repentance among Malawians amid growing sinful activities. Secretary to President and Cabinet resistance to appear before parliamentary committees almost costs a vote on budget allocation for the office of President and Cabinet. And in international news, Botswana rejects anti-democracy allegations made by ex-President Ian Khama. You have been with me, Tandi Wemzumara. Thank you so much for keeping me company, and do continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Stay safe and goodbye for now.